So guys, before we start, just a quick introduction. Tyke. Uh, Tyke is an investment platform which allows retail investors or common investors to invest in new age opportunities uh, like startups and we basically are building a portfolio in alternate investments for you. Uh, we've been in this industry now for close to 2 years, and we've facilitated more than 100 crores of turnover in terms of investments. At the same time, we worked with more than 100 companies, and we have more than 2 lakh active users on our platform at this point of time. We recently launched an application version as well. So in case you haven't updated yourself from the website to the application, kindly do so. It's a more interactive and better experience for you. Our team consists of folks who have previously served in institutions like some big banks like a Citi, ICICI, Kotak. We have alumni from McKinsey, IIM. At the same time, we have respected professionals from the legal and chartered accountancy departments as well. We've raised venture capital and angel investment in the past from some of the prominent investors like Better Capital, 9 Unicorns, Venture Catalyst, and Ratio Ventures. I also have a co-founder who helps me run this company. Unfortunately, he's not being able to join today. His name is Purav, and he helps me operate this company. Today's session is going to be super interactive. What I will do is I will just spend 15 minutes, and I promise you I will not cross 15 minutes, in just explaining to you information about what is a CSOP, how does it work, what are the benefits of subscribing to a CSOP, and what are terms like valuation cap and discount cap, and what do they mean. And finally, a very important question: how can you make returns, or how can you exit your CSOP? Post this, I will open up the session for questions, which you can put up in the question box, in the text box available on your screen. I will ask my team to pick up the most common questions, and we will answer the same on this call itself. Let's talk about, so before we get into what is a CSOP, I think what's very important to understand is the intent of what is the concept behind a CSOP, or more importantly, why did we start this instrument, right? So just can I have all the audience raise your hand if you have invested in a startup before using Tyke? Just a raise of hand will be great, guys. Okay, so we have close, just I think we'll do like a couple of seconds more. Okay, so we have approximately 1/5 of the audience which has invested in startups before. So that means I will talk about what investing in a startup or the concept of angel investing generally means, and what are the implications of the same, while I talk about CSOPs as well, just to give you a fair comparison during this process. So angel investing is a concept where friends, family, and business colleagues of entrepreneurs advance money in exchange for equity in the company, which is called a startup. Now so that startup has capital. At the same time, the person who has advanced the money is looking at a financial gain, with the value of his capital increases over a period of time. Value linked company, if I have to give a market term, is nothing but the market cap. If the market cap of the company increases, the value of every share of the company increases, and hence their value of the investment in turn increases. Now, using this concept, let's talk about what is a CSOP and how does it work, right? CSOP is a contract agreement that we have created for all users of Tyke to back companies. Megha, I'll ask you to go to the next slide. Now, what is a CSOP? A CSOP is basically allowing the subscriber to become a part of the growth of the startup's journey by entering into a contractual agreement, which basically means that there is no exchange of shares, there is no exchange of securities, there is no exchange of any financial instrument that is happening at this point of time. Link to link to the startup to the value of the company as it increases. Basically, it's equity-based appreciation of stock appreciation rights. This basically means that these rights are linked to the has been entered. Once the value of the company's equity share increases, the value of your CSOP proportionately also increases. This basically means that we're basically mirroring the benefits of increase in equity cap table to operate the company's cap table without by getting so many people to come on the cap table with a limit of 200 at the same time getting all these 200 people to vote on matters related to the company. Hence, we've come up with a concept of stock appreciation rights, or CSOP, which basically restricts voting rights, does not come on the cap table of the company, at the same time has similar financial benefits as compared to the equity shares of the company. Additionally, what CSOPs also do, they have this angle of community benefits, which basically means that that a subscriber gets extra benefits or gets access to become a part of the community of the company, which basically allows them to get access to discounts, to get access to product reviews, to get access to special merchandises, to get access to deal and work with the company directly. This allows the subscriber to get special benefits. At the same time, this allows the company to grow as well by getting a community of people backing the same cause. Now, let's talk about the benefits of CSOPs. Now, when I compare it to angel investing, the concepts of exits is something which is not standardized and very unstructured, which basically means that in case you wish to take an exit in a company in which you own shares as a private limited company, it's very difficult for the company to give you an exit or to guarantee you an exit at any point of time. The reason is, and in most cases, the exits happen at a secondary value, which means that the exits happen at a value below the fair market value of the company. And at the same time, the exits can happen at any point of time, which is decided mutually between the investor and the company. Now, to make that process streamlined, at the same time to give fair and easy exits, CSOPs exits always happen at fair market value of the company with a floor involved. This means that there is always a guaranteed minimum, which is the multiple of your SAR value at entry at the time of exit. This makes CSOPs a much better and a much safer option where the downside is hedged. As Tyke, our fiduciary responsibility is to make sure that every investor or every subscriber who's using our platform is able to hedge his downside. This is something which does not happen in traditional angel investing. Additionally, the liquidity opportunities available to the company to give exits is slightly higher in CSOPs as compared to angel investing, which means CSOPs are merely cash settled, and this cash settlement can be staggered over a period of time, over a number of years. This allows CSOPs to become a very attractive option for the company because they can control their liquidity and link it to their cash flow. This again has been a very big pain point in traditional angel investing, where money has been locked for years and sometimes even decades. But this can be solved by staggering your cash settlements as per the fair market value at that point of time over a period of time. This allows CSOPs to be a liquid opportunity as well. At the same time, the rights of a CSOP holder in terms of liquidation priority, which means who gets liquidity first, is at par with all equity holders. This has again been done to hedge the downside, which basically allows CSOP holders to hold similar liquidity priority which is at par with preferential equity shareholders. This means that when a VC, when an angel investor, when any strategic investor per se is getting an exit, CSOPs hold similar liquidation priority rights as well. So summarizing the 3 points of why CSOPs are more efficient. Number 1 is fair and easy exits. The second one is increased liquidity, and liquidation priority is at par with equity holders. Can you go to the next slide? Now, one of the most common questions that we get is, what are these terms like a valuation cap, a discount cap, and what do they mean? Typically, we only know the price per share, which is what we see in the markets, and that is and the market cap. But what are terms like a valuation cap and a discount cap? So what's very important to understand is that private limited companies or companies which are unlisted function slightly differently as compared to listed companies, because there is no concept of market making. There is no concept of these securities being freely traded on any exchange, right? So valuation cap and discount cap are basically 2 terms or 2 structures that have come in place, which have been initially introduced by Y Combinator in the West. They basically introduced the 2 concepts using this agreement called a SAFE, or a simple agreement for future equity. Now, what a valuation cap and a discount cap does is, again, it hedges your downside, at the same time gives you an opportunity of making sure that you're making a minimum amount of return in the company. Typically, what happens is that the valuation determined by startups which are early in their journey or in their growth stage is more of an art than science, which means that the valuation is determined between an investor and the company, and there is no and the logic applied for that valuation can be varied. There is no standardization on the same. So what Y Combinator came up with is that, hey, you know what? We're not sure what your valuation is today, but what we can do is we can cap your valuation, which means that we can decide the maximum value at which we'll be comfortable entering this company. And if you're able to raise your next round of financing at a value within this range, or if you raise your next round at a value above today, means that in my next round of financing, there can be 3 probable outcomes. I raise my round at 80 crores, I raise my round at 100 crores, I raise my round at 150 crores. In 80 crores, the value at which the earlier investor or I have entered is going to be 80 crores, because I have capped my valuation to 100 crores. So anything up to 100 crores, I enjoy the benefit. At 100 as well, my entry price will be 100 crores. But at 150, I am still coming at 100 crores. So in that case, I am sitting on an upside of 50 crores in terms of valuation. That's what valuation cap means. It's typically used because founders are uncertain of their valuation at an early stage, and the investors and the founders are not able to come to a conclusion of what their valuation could be. Moving forward, and valuation cap, by the way, is one of the most common methods that is used in the market today, along with discount cap. Now, discount cap is another interesting way in which the company says that, hey, you know what? I am also unable to decide a valuation with my investor. The numbers that he's talking about and the numbers that we're talking about are poles apart. But we've decided that we want to work together. So what we've done is we've basically entered this company at a discount cap of, let's say, 20% to the next round of financing, which basically means that whatever the valuation I'm able to fetch in my next round, this investor will come in at a 20% discount to the same, which means that his minimum IRR, or the internal rate of return, till the next round is at least, or is capped at 20% in this example. So giving a theoretical example, let's say I enter into a round with my investor at 20% discount. My next round happens at 100 crores, which means my investor today has entered at 80 crores valuation. So it's 20% of 100 crores reduced on 100 crores, which means that as an investor, I'm sitting on a 25% gain until my next round happens. Now, the last and the most important question of how can you exit your CSOP subscription? Before we get into this question, because we had a bunch of our audience who has invested in startups through angel investing earlier, I will for the balance rest, I will mention to you all how exits work in angel investing. The first and the most common method of exit in angel investing is when a company raises the next round of financing. The newer investors buy out the older investors by a deal mutually agreed between them. This deal generally happens at a discount to the actual fair market value or the valuation of the company. This is again a very unstructured process where it's demand versus supply, and whatever value they agree at that value they can exit. A second way in which companies exit in angel investing is where a company is being acquired or is being merged with another company. That's where they forcefully have to take an exit in the form of cash or shares of the new company that is basically acquiring or is getting merged. That again is a very unstructured process which is subject to terms and conditions. Can you go to the next slide, guys? So the most common method of exit that will be provided to you in CSOPs is that CSOPs are partially transferable, which means that CSOPs can be transferred from one holder to the other. This is possible by this concept of assignment of rights of a contract. Tyke itself is working towards creating a secondary sale platform to facilitate the same, where you can put or where basically you can list your CSOPs which you wish to sell at the price at which you wish to sell. Obviously, Tyke will indicate to you an indicative price, and the same when it finds a buyer, the transaction will be executed. Again, CSOPs are partially tradable, which means that there is no opportunity where you can buy and sell the same day. There will be some concept of lock-in whenever you buy a new CSOP. That's going to be the most common method or the most fastest method of exit, which will be facilitated from Tyke's platform. We have startups who we work with who have mutually agreed to the same, and we're in the process of building the platform. Second is the concept of an involuntary exit, which basically is very similar to the point I mentioned earlier about angel investing, which says that in the case of a merger or acquisition or the company being wound up, CSOPs are liquidated with a liquidation priority at par with equity shareholders. So this is very similar to angel investing, which means that if the company is getting acquired, merged, or is being wound up, CSOPs have to be liquidated with liquidation priority at par with equity holders. This could be a good scenario and a bad scenario. A good scenario in terms of acquisition or a good merger, and a bad scenario in case a company is getting acqui-hired, which means the company is being sold for parts, or the company is being wound up, which means that the company probably has filed for bankruptcy or insolvency and is basically shutting down its business. The third and the most important point, which is something we've intentionally added to CSOPs, again to hedge your downside and at the same time give you consistent cash settlement on your CSOPs, is this concept of a voluntary exit, which basically means that we've given the companies we work with the right to purchase the CSOPs from you at fair market value while adhering to minimum floor multiples as defined in the CSOP agreement. These floor multiples are basically linked to a multiple and the time that has been lapsed since the CSOP was mutually agreed into. The concept of bringing this in is to remove the inefficiencies involved in secondary sale of angel investing, which I mentioned to you earlier. This basically allows you to get liquidity and at the same time makes the company's life slightly simple because the terms are already predefined. At the same time, this ensures that the exit will happen to you at fair market value. At the same time, this exit can also be facilitated in a staggered manner over a period of time at that relevant or respective fair market value. Now, what we've done is when you opted to join this seminar, we will give you a text box to ask us questions which you think are something where you need to understand a little bit more about the company. So what we've done is we've basically collated these questions in terms of the most common questions. And what we've done is we've put them here. So can every private limited company issue CSOPs? In fact, CSOPs is a contractual agreement. So any type of company can issue CSOPs. It doesn't necessarily be private limited. In fact, there is a notice given by SEBI which says that CSOPs are not under their jurisdiction, or stock appreciation rights are not under their jurisdiction, and they basically have to adhere with the Indian Contract Act. Will I receive returns or periodic dividends from CSOPs like I receive from stocks? So now this comes back to the exit clauses which I mentioned. Yes, returns can be voluntary exit, involuntary exit, or can be transfer of your CSOP. With respect to periodic dividends, companies do have an option of giving you a staggered voluntary exit, which means that they can give you a cash settlement over a period of time at that fair market value. But that is a choice that the company holds with itself. The only clause which allows you to really control your exits has to be transfer of CSOPs. Is it 100% secure or not? And can I exit at any point of time, even on loss? So no, CSOPs is not debt, which means that there is no which means that they are not secured. CSOPs are basically a contractual agreement entered between you and the company. So CSOPs are not secured. You can take an exit at any point of time, considering you've met the minimum lock-in period. We're estimating this lock-in to be anywhere between 3 to 4 months, and the exit can be facilitated through the Tyke platform. We're planning on launching this feature anytime in Q2 of this year. Can I cross-sell my CSOPs? Yes, you can. I had already explained that point earlier. Can we continue without taking an exit? In case of voluntary and involuntary exit, you have to accept the exit. But if these 2 points are not happening, you can continue holding your CSOPs. It is not mandatory for you to transfer to someone else.
Hi, Karan. So we have dropped questions in your chat box. You can take those up.
Sure. So I have these questions, guys. I'll just pick it up. The first question I have is, so even if I do not get any equity, if the company grows 10 times and exit happens, I will get 10 times my investment. That is correct. That is that understanding is correct. When you're entering, when you're basically purchasing a CSOP allows you to enter at a value linked to the value of the company's equity share. So if the value of the equity share increases, your contractual agreements right also increases proportionately. So the answer to the first question is yes. If the company grows 10 times, your value has also grown 10 times. Why companies already raising money through Shark Tank enter Tyke to raise money? So what's very important to understand is that whenever a company is raising capital, which is in the private markets, they're not raising the entire amount of capital that they wish to raise from only one investor. They raise this capital from multiple investors or multiple users or multiple subscribers or through multiple instruments, which basically allows them to build a diversified set of people from whom they can take advice, help, build a community, and basically grow their company. So companies which are raising on Shark Tank are raising a part on Shark Tank, and the balance they are fulfilling through Tyke, through other private rounds that they may be doing with other investors, and so on and so forth. How do you make sure fraud startups are not taking the benefit of community money? Process of listing startup. That's a great question. Tyke has built its own due diligence mechanism, which basically allows us to vet companies which are coming to us. To give you guys perspective, we receive applications of approximately 100 companies per week, which we basically vet. It goes through our risk check process. It goes through our diligence process, and the ones who make it through are the ones we select. Now our risk process has been set up by some of the top folks who worked as investment bankers, who worked as consultants, who worked as venture capitalists earlier in their career. So we've basically set up an interesting risk process which allows us to vet companies and then only bring it to you on the platform. So we have our own checks. We're also planning on publishing those checks to you to make our process more transparent. At the same time, give you access to the risks and the checks we've already seen. So we have a diligence process where approximately we work only with 1 to 2% of companies that we're evaluating on a weekly basis. Is CSOP concept regulated? CSOPs is a concept which has been regulated and there is an accounting standard built on the same as well by ICAI, or the accounting standard body of India. The accounting standard I will mention to you over email in case that's something you wish to check. But CSOPs is basically a derivation of stock appreciation rights, which is a concept which has been regulated by the accounting framework of India. So yes, CSOPs are regulated in the concept of stock appreciation rights. What is the most common timeline of an exit? In case of voluntary or involuntary exit, I recommend to all my users that this is something which will take more than 2 years. This is something which cannot happen in a few months or overnight. So when you're investing in CSOPs, when you're investing in CSOPs, it's very important that basically you need to be patient. It is patient investing, and don't look for an exit within a few months. If need arises, you can use the secondary sale platform we launch soon, but still your mindset should be that this is patient investing. Where and how can I track valuation of my investment on a periodic basis? So Tyke as a platform has taken up the initiative of updating all the companies' value or their valuation on the portfolio page. We basically do this by working with the startups ourselves and working with them over a period of time. We get access to their term sheets and their regulatory filing documentation of their new rounds of financing. Basis that we update the portfolio. We've actually done this for a few companies on our platform who already raised capital. You can check your portfolio section to basically see them. One of the companies is Tyke itself, where we updated the portfolio section of the valuation. Can you please share an example of gain with discount of 20%? Yeah, sure. So we recently worked with a company called Artmint, where the company has raised a further round of financing. So what has happened is that in case you guys have backed Artmint, you can check your portfolio section. So what has happened is that the company has raised its next round of financing from new investors. So what has happened is, let's say they have raised that value at 100 crores valuation. So you have entered the company at 80 crores. Hence, your gain in that particular company is at a 25% IRR, assuming the company's investment has happened a year back. So that is one example. In case you guys have put money in Artman, that's one example I remember on the top of my head. It will be updated on your portfolio section. At what frequency do you update the current value on Tyke Dashboard? So whenever we get company updates from all the companies we work with, we basically update this in most cases monthly, in some cases quarterly. But you can check your company's portfolio section on a monthly or quarterly basis. Sometimes companies, sometimes startups, suo moto share that data with us. That's where we update it out of our general cycle, hence monthly, but mostly it's quarterly. What about taxation? That's a very important question. Now, CSOPs are a contractual agreement. So for you, CSOPs at the time of putting money is an expense. And when an exit happens, in case you make a gain, the gain is recorded from your tax perspective as income from other source and charged as per your tax bracket. CSOPs are not capital gains, guys. It's a very important point to mention. We had earlier during tax filing season we'd sent a proper documentation, I think, to all our users explaining to y'all how does the tax treatment for the same work. In case you don't have it, just reach out to customer success. We send it again to you. What are the charges of Tyke when I invest 5,000 in any company? Tyke has a standard charge of charging you 2% as service fees on whatever subscriptions you make on the platform, whatever transactions you make on the platform. So we charge you 2% as the fees. What is your background and of your co-founders? Sure, I've completed my chartered accountancy from Mumbai. I'm originally a Bombay boy. I'm currently settled in Delhi, where we operate our product and tech team. So that's something I look after. After completing chartered accountancy, I worked closely in the M&A and diligence department at Deloitte in Mumbai, where I worked for approximately 3 years before I started this company. My co-founder, Purav, is a chemical engineer, and he used to run operations for a listed company called Sharda Cropchem Limited. Now he works with Tyke and runs operations here. Is CSOPs a derivative? No, CSOPs are not a derivative. It's very important to understand that we have to go to understand the definition of derivative. We have to basically go to the Securities Contract Act, which is called SCRA Act 1992, where they have defined a derivative or a security as anything which is marketable. Now, the definition of marketable means something which can be sold in the open market. CSOPs cannot be sold in the open market, guys, and it is not a derivative. The contractual agreement is with Tyke, or is it with the company? It's with the company. You're entering into a contract directly with the company. Tyke is a facilitator of the same. Tyke as a platform does not work as a syndicate or does not work as a party to the transaction per se. Our job is to match make demand and supply. The contract is directly with the company, and you're in direct touch with the company. After that, through the community. What if Tyke shuts down? Even if Tyke shuts down, guys, as I mentioned, there is no movement of money happening through Tyke's balance sheet. Whatever movement of money happens, it happens directly from your account to the companies. So in case Tyke shuts down, your investments or your subscriptions continue to hold, and they still are, and the contracts you enter into are still legally valid because Tyke is not party to them. How value of SAR is fixed at 1,000 rupees for each CSOP? It's a very interesting question. The reason we've chosen 1,000 rupees as the value of SAR for each CSOP is because this allows a number which can later be used in case an exit has to take place, or in case a partial transfer has to be taken place. So in case you hold 10 of these, you can sell 5 of these, you can continue holding 5 of these, so on and so forth. It allows a common number, a common denominator to get that math right. In your CSOP agreement, voluntary exit event, there is a minimum of minimum times of a SAR as the value of grant. So again, coming back to the voluntary exit point, guys, it's very clearly mentioned over there that that in case a company wants to voluntarily give you an exit, it has to be the minimum multiple mentioned in the SAR or the fair market value, whichever is higher. This clause comes in case the founder wants to drive an exit by purchasing the value. So yes, so in case a company wants to voluntarily buy back or purchase the CSOP from you, they have to give you that multiple in case the fair market value is lower than that. Yes, the valuation needs to be done once a year, and the report. So the report has not been shared with the investors because the valuation activity is generally conducted as per FMV or fair market value when the company raises its next round of financing. Unfortunately, that document is something which is very confidential and we're not allowed to share the same with you. What we do at our end is we update that value on your portfolio section, which is basically and that document has been used as our risk and our diligence for updating that section. Are you planning to relaunch Tyke CSOP? Yes, very soon. I think as we grow in the process, we want to make sure that every new user which joins us in the journey gets access to be a part of Tyke's journey as well. So yes, whenever we plan our next round of financing, we will definitely allocate a substantial portion of that on Tyke. Tyke has made investing in startups as simple as few clicks. Can you guys make investment exit simple like that? We're trying. We are building a secondary sale platform which makes exiting the process also as simple as investing. Something we're working on. It's in the works, guys. It should be out super soon. I'm happy with Tyke for bringing us CSOPs via stock appreciation rights now, but past safe agreements, we don't have clear-cut idea like SAR. Are we getting same rights as per new agreement Tyke is providing? Yes, the rights are the same. We've tried to mimic all the rights that we gave earlier in the previous versions of the agreements as well. So the rights may have increased, but at the same time, we maintain that process. So yes, the rights are similar. There may be some change in wording, but overall, the contracts hold very similar rights. Will Tyke issue new contracts for the older agreements? No, I think the older agreements are also in line. So I think they're also legally valid. Lock-in period is 1 year at Tyke platform, lock-in for CSOPs. So this lock-in is something which is self-imposed by the Tyke platform at this point of time. We may change it in the future. However, till the time the company is not giving a voluntary or an involuntary exit, this lock-in may be in place. Otherwise, this lock-in is not applicable. So in case of a voluntary and an involuntary exit, there is no concept of a lock-in. The lock-in only comes in, I think, if you invested through an AIF, which is something we do not do. So there is no lock-in on the platform. Do I need to pay tax only after I liquidated? Yes, you need to pay tax only after you liquidated. There is no tax implication until you make a gain or a profit on exit. There's a question that do you have folks from IIT, IIM in your company? Yes, we do. We have employees who work for us with that background. We have our product and tech team with alumni from these institutions. What will happen if the company goes to IPO? Are our CSOPs converted to equities at the time of IPO? No, in case a company goes for an IPO, the company has to give a cash liquidation before the prospectus filing or before the IPO has been approved by the regulator. So this triggers a cash liquidation as per the contracts at that time's FMV or fair market value. The question is crowdfunding legal? Now, that's a very interesting question, guys. Crowdfunding is a concept which can be used for various reasons. There can be donation-based crowdfunding, reward-based crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding. However, because SARs or stock appreciation rights or CSOPs are cash settled, they're not converted into equity. It does not come under the classification of equity-based crowdfunding. However, even in that case, you have to follow private placement norms in case any equity is given. We have opportunities available like CCDs on our platform where you can invest in equity-linked instruments and we follow the private placement norms over there as per the law. But I think we'll talk about that particular instrument probably in our next sessions. Right now, it's all about CSOPs. Okay, great. I think these are the questions my team has forwarded to me. Thank you so much, guys, for being on this conversation. I hope I've been of any value, and I've increased your understanding of with respect to this new thing we've brought to your lives called CSOPs. The intention is to build a diversified portfolio in the alternate investment space of the markets, with strong believers that the alternate investment space has the ability of building a very, very interesting and diversified portfolio with higher returns as compared to the markets. And our reason of bringing this to you is because we've seen the merit ourselves in our own lives. So yes, most of Tyke's employees are also using the platform for diversifying their investments. And glad to have you guys on this session. If there is something, please reach out to our team. We'll definitely answer your questions. If a question has been unanswered, we will definitely get you the answer. And we'll keep doing more sessions like these. Please reach out to our team for other topics or on specific topics which you haven't been able to understand. We also have a WhatsApp and a Discord group where we basically give prompts and updates of what's happening on the application. We'll also put the recorded link of this conversation on those groups. So please join these groups as well. I think we have one last one. What Tyke is doing is fabulous. However, this is something dealing with money. Some seriously strong questions rises like transparency, accountability, regulation, security, etc. What is the future plan on making this on addressing these points? So Tyke as a platform has always worked in building a very cohesive and transparent platform, which means that the movement of money, the type of deal that is happening, everything is transparently put on the platform. Tyke has no inside information or does not have any say or take in the deals we bring on the platform or the decisions made by you. Our goal is to give a holistic and transparent environment to you to make informed decisions. We will keep improving our efforts to increase security, to increase accountability and transparency. At the same time, give you the ability of making more informed decisions. So that's our goal, to make sure that you're able to build a portfolio of alternate investments through Tyke. We've recently also launched opportunities to invest in fixed income through non-convertible debentures. We have a deal live right now called Spares Hub. You can check it out. At the same time, we keep bringing in deals on invoice discounting in case you're looking to invest in a fixed income opportunity with a smaller tenure. So we generally have opportunities live for a month and a half, and the money comes back to you then. So would also request you guys to pick those up. I will ask my team to check with you if those topics are something where you wish to get more clarity, and we'll definitely organize more sessions around that as well. Thank you so much, guys. Looking forward to the feedback. We've also plugged in our feedback form in the chat session. Kindly give us your feedback. Let us know if you're doing something good, bad, ugly, and we're happy to make that better and give you a better experience next time. Thanks, guys.